Ahoy! Welcome to the Sea Captain Leadership Podcast with Phil Bender, where we help listeners navigate the uncharted waters of personal and professional growth. The Sea Captain Leadership Podcast is about sharing energizing stories of leadership development and the culture surrounding top-performing individuals and their businesses. We want to help you to take risks and build your vision by showing you how to break free of the boundaries that are holding you back. Today, we welcome Steve Hunsicker to the Sea Captain Leadership Podcast. Steve has just joined Sea Captain Coaching as a marketing and leadership coach. He has more than 30 years experience leading cross-functional teams and partnering with C-suite executives, world-class brands like McDonald's, Boeing, Burger King, and the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. His career spans top advertising agencies and Fortune 500 companies where he built a reputation for aligning teams, driving strategy, and growing iconic brands. His latest endeavor is becoming a certified professional coach and Energy Leadership Index Master Practitioner, or IPEC, as well as a Sea Captain Coaching partner. So today we talk about that big, juicy problems, and we'll throw in a little soccer for seasoning. Welcome, Steve Hunsicker. Good to see you, my friend.
Thank you, Phil. Great to be here.
Yeah, it's great to have you on a lot of levels, and I don't know why, but over time, we're of course a national and even international brand now, but to always have somebody from the hometown that I knew and respected from back in the day, we're the same age. It's kind of fun to reflect back, and I know that's part of how you got connected with us was through that great St. Louis background. But tell us a little bit about you and why you're here.
Well, in 2016 and 2017, I was floundering a bit. I had lost a job. I had started a new job. That wasn't going well. And I had, luckily, the self-awareness to know that I needed help. So I needed that Sherpa. So I hired a coach, and it was transformational. It helped me so much. So that was early 2017. In 2020, I became a certified professional coach. So I got my credentials. But there was an event that happened in between those two that was even more important and was an accelerant for me moving into a more purpose-driven line of work. I was in LA having dinner with my son and his now fiance. We're in Santa Monica, great restaurant. The sun is setting. We're looking out over the Pacific Ocean. And Connor, in his thoughtful, purposeful way, asked me, "Dad, do you think your life's work has been purposeful?" And I say no, hard no. I've been in advertising. I've been trying to convince people to buy things they don't need. So no. Emily interjects very quickly and says, "Well, what about all the people you mentored? What about all the talent you developed? What about all the relationships you built with coworkers and partners and clients? What about that?" And I said, that was purposeful. And there was something, that was a moment. There was something in my mind that said, I need to get my credentials for coaching sooner versus later. And I need to figure out a way to make coaching, which is so purpose-driven, a bigger part of my life. So those were the three things that kind of came together that pushed me into what I'm doing now.
Well, I tell you what, that was worth the whole podcast by itself, based on that, and how insightful for her to really challenge you in the fact that your impact was likely greater, like George Bailey in It's a Wonderful Life. It was greater than you really thought it was. But now you start to realize it is about the people. It's always about the people. And so, as I've been meeting with you one-on-one for a few months now and talking about joining our team, and you're really passionate about helping individuals unlock their full potential. I'm sure as a listener, you can already detect that. You told us that your coaching style is rooted in deep listening, encouragement, and creating accountable action plans that lead to measurable results. You also mentioned that you're yearning to become more purpose-driven, highlighted here. You discovered coaching and ultimately you now are coaching yourself, or becoming a coach yourself, excuse me. Talk about that, the additional pathway. Now, how are you applying this great thing that you've learned?
Well, my coaching philosophy is really based on performance optimization. That's at the core of what I'm trying to do. So it aligns very much with the Sea Captain idea of 1 degree shifts. So when I think of optimization, I think of it as more of a fluid term versus like a finality to it. So I feel like if people can level up even in tiny increments and get better, that's going to create momentum and push them to a better, more productive and happier life. And the other thing that I've realized is that I've been lucky to work with a lot of high-level executives, and some I would even call titans of industry. And not one of them has ever said, I'm fully optimized. I have no room for improvement in my life in any way, shape, or form. They all have a desire to get better, to improve. Yeah. And even if it's in little steps, it's the way to do it. So that's where my passion lies, in just helping people, supporting people as they unlock and get to higher ground.
That is so well said, and really interesting how you get to the place you get to, which is top performers. There is no end game. Okay, there just isn't. It's about how you show up every day. I was at a meeting recently, and somebody said to me, "Well, how long are you going to do this?" I'm 60 now. And I said, well, till I'm on a Zoom and I just keel over. It's just fundamentally how it's going to work. Because you get to a place where you value the work. And my wisdom has increased tenfold in the last 7 years because I'm in more positions where I learn. Right. And Absolutely. So, really cool. So you mentioned that after your training, while you were still at a marketing firm, you helped run a monthly meeting at the firm, which you impacted more than 1,000 people, which is really cool. And in fact, you ran that meeting 26 times and developed 26 mini decks. That's intense. Talk about some of the topics you covered and how you helped tackle big, juicy problems, quote unquote.
I love that one. So I gave presentations on everything from the power of regret to how to read and shift energy levels to a workbook-like work session on how to have your best year yet, and all kinds of topics in between. Two of the topics that came up in a lot of the presentations were around disabling limiting beliefs and reframing. The big juicy problems story, which I presented in the first ever deck, was about an experience I had fairly early in my advertising career. So I'm working in an agency. Burger King is the client. One of our senior VPs, a brilliant thinker and leader named Brian Hughes, gets us all on a call very quickly. And he says, I just got off the phone with the client. They have a pressing business need. They need our help. They need our thinking. And this is due tomorrow. There is dead silence on the phone. And he goes on to explain what we needed to do. And so he paused because he could read the phone in the room and sense the tension. And he just said, I love big, juicy problems. And then he went on to say, this is a chance for us to show how good we are, how creative we can think, how we can problem solve, and how we can be really nimble and agile to do it really quickly. Well, I'm thinking, I've got a general anxiety disorder, Brian. Like, I don't like big, juicy problems. I'm stressed out of my mind. How are we going to get this done? I don't say that. I'm thinking it. Yeah. So I sat in that for a little bit. And then once I started to do my part of the ask, I aligned with what he was saying very quickly. Like, I got really excited about it and rallied around his concept of, we're going to show him how great we are. So he provided us a classic reframe. And the words he chose shifted our energy. What would usually happen in a situation like that is the leader of the group would get on and say, I just talked to the client. They are disorganized. They are asking us for something that's unrealistic. This is a disaster, but they asked and we have to do it. He didn't go there. He didn't say anything in a negative way at all. And what happened was we aligned. We got a great presentation done. And he also said, when we push this over line tomorrow, we're going to have a tremendous sense of satisfaction because how hard it was to do that. And so I've tried to play that forward as much as I can without being Pollyanna about it.
Right.
The words we choose create our energy and they create our reality. I firmly believe that. It's a mindset thing.
It is such a mindset thing. And what a great story. In fact, as you're sharing it, I'm thinking about Burger King and I'm thinking about what you said early on. And that is that you really were the cause of me carrying 25 more pounds than I should have, because my big juicy problem was the Whopper with cheese. So you caused some of that problem. I think there's a lot of people out there that are going to make a phone call to you about this. But
it's a great burger. I agree with you.
I happen to agree. Flame broiled. I mean, what could be wrong with that? But the deeper point is great, and that is that there is just energy in words. There's an energy in meaning in them, and also in mindset. The simple reframe of a difficult situation. Now, it doesn't mean you don't acknowledge the situation. I think your leader did a great job there, saying, "Okay, I know this is hard, but we are going to overcome this, and let's open this up, and let's ideate, create, and figure out what a better answer might be." As a lot of top leaders say, let's break this thing and reconstruct. Steve, you've also shared that you were diagnosed at age 50 with type 1 diabetes, and that you've been on a wellness journey that has significantly shaped who you are today. Would you care to go into a little bit of that with us?
Absolutely. So I was a little bit surprised with the diagnosis. I've always been an exerciser. I've had, luckily, a good metabolism, so weight was never an issue, and my diet was fine. So when I was diagnosed, I was full of self-pity for a while. Why me? Why is this happening? I'm 50 years old. I've done all the right things. But what happened shortly thereafter is I reframed and I shifted my mindset. I'm not sure how this came about, but I'm glad it did. I shifted to gratitude for the doctor that invented insulin. And I also shifted from a gratitude perspective to the fact that I had the resources to pay for the insulin. Insulin is not cheap. Even if you have health insurance, there's a hefty out of pocket. So I think sometimes for me, I get caught up in rolling my own mud versus just like getting some perspective of, you know what, you're going to manage this fine. And I'm happy to report that everything's stable and it's a manageable disease and the medicine's good and all of those things. My wellness journey, though, dates back to my childhood. My parents are my heroes. They're not with us anymore, but any ounce of success I've had, I attribute to my mom and dad. And when I was 14, my mom was struggling with depression, severe depression, so much so that she was suicidal, that she had to go into a psychiatric ward for a couple of weeks. So my mom was that person that gave me a disproportionate amount of self-esteem given my limited abilities. She was that advocate for me, right? So I was terrified that, I was going to lose her. And so it gave me education on mental health. It gave me awareness, but most importantly, watching my mom get her life back, it showed me how to be strong. It showed me how to work through difficult situations because she did regain her life. And it was an inspiration to me as I got older and also struggled with some depression and anxiety. I could channel her courage and strength. When my dad was this was 4 years later. When I was 18, my dad went into rehab for alcoholism. And so the whole family had to go up and get educated on the disease. And I'm in these classes and I'm thinking, I'm in trouble. I'm drinking too much. I'm answering yes to too many of these questions. But I was going to be a freshman in college a couple months later. So I was like, I'm not quitting now. So fast forward 4.5 years and I'm out of college, working at an agency, making $12,000 a year, still living at home, go to the company holiday party, drink too much, come bouncing down the hallway into my parents' house to my bedroom. And the next day, my mom says, don't you think it's time you stopped hurting yourself and other people? That was her idea of a lecture, right? That's kind of an old school way our parents kind of told us, get your act together. So I haven't had a drink since. And I think that the experience and the strength that my mom and dad showed by overcoming some of those health issues and addiction issues, got me to a better place. And I don't know if I would be where I am right now if not for them. And the other thing that really helped me, because my dad was also diagnosed with diabetes and COPD and emphysema, kind of a lifelong smoker, was I found exercise as medicine. And it's become a true mood stabilizer and mood enhancer. So I was just lucky that I found it, and it's really helped balance me out. But I owe all of that really to my parents.
Wow, on so many levels, including the challenge, including the wisdom, and also the perspective of remember, wisdom is not about doing everything right. In most cases, it's about doing something wrong and then figuring it out and doing it better, or changing the habit or changing the perspective. So it's such a powerful message for you, and will be for clients. You're gonna, you help a lot of people that way, helping them walk through. And so I really loved hearing your soccer story. You told me that you played competitive high school soccer, but really didn't have much of a scholarship option. You decided to walk on St. Louis University, made the travel team, and then later were drafted by the St. Louis Steamers, which was really cool for those who were on the podcast back from our era. That was a big deal. Indoor soccer. Tell us about the failure to become an Evans Scholar as well at Mizzou, and which encouraged you to take some risks you might normally not have taken.
I was an average high school soccer player. I did start on my team my senior year, and I was a tri-captain. And when the season ended, my coach called me into his office. And in a very nice way, he said, I don't want you to get your hopes up that you can play Division I. You're just not at that level. It was really nice and cool about it. He that's what he felt. And at that moment, he was right. And so my first reaction was, hey, he's probably right. My second reaction was, what if he's not right? And it was an early lesson in my life that you should not let anybody impose a limiting belief on you. You should not let anybody write your story, your narrative. So I left the office and wasn't sure what I was going to do. Well, I had applied for the Evans Scholarship at Mizzou. So the Evans Scholarship is a really cool deal. It's a full room and board and full tuition scholarship, and it's available only to caddies. I caddied growing up. So I applied for the Evans. My brother was at Mizzou, and I did not get it. And I remember being devastated, like, what am I going to do? I was going to go to Mizzou. I was excited about that. I also applied to St. Louis University as a backup school, and I was accepted in there. And I wasn't quite sure if I was going to try out because the team was so good, right? Just loaded with talent. And there was a lifelong friend of mine who and you competed against on the baseball fields and probably played with, named Steve Maurer. Steve and I have been best of friends since we were 7 years old. Steve was an All-American soccer player, my age. He was going to SLU on a full scholarship. And Tommy Hayes, who was a North-sided guy, also a All-American, was also going to SLU. And I played club ball with Tommy. They both separately said, you should play. You should play at SLU. And it was just like a little bit of encouragement that I needed because I wasn't sure if I belonged or if I could make it. That was very helpful. And I think I channel that as best I can to encourage others to do things maybe they don't think they can do. So I decided to try out. And as I'm thinking through this, I'm asking myself two questions. And they're questions I ask my coaching clients a lot. One is, what would you do if you had no fear? If you were not worried about getting cut or the embarrassment of getting cut, if you had no fear of not being able to compete with these elite players, what might you do? Well, I'd go for it. And then the second question I said is, what's the worst thing that can happen? Another question I ask my clients a lot. Well, the worst thing that can happen is nothing really bad. Like I get cut. I'm still going to school there, and it's not contingent on me making the team. So I kind of thought through that, and I was like, I'm going to play. So I'm going to try. So I get to the first day, and you know this, you're an athlete. I was in a zone. I was relaxed. I was very present. I just said, just try really hard today. Detach from any results. Just work really hard today. So the first 4 days of camp come and go, and I'm playing better than I've ever played in my life. And at the end of the fourth session, the coaches, the legends, Harry Keogh and Val Palazzaro, call me over, and I'm thinking, this is probably it. I gave it my best shot, but I'm not going to make it. And Harry looked at me and said, you belong here. And the words he chose just made me feel like I did belong there. There was still that imposter syndrome in my mind thinking, do I really belong with these people? And I just loved what he said. He didn't say you made the team. That's what he meant. He just said you belong here. So I ended up playing all 4 years, got a lot of time on the field. We had 2 teams that made it to the Elite Eight and earned a scholarship. And it was just the most wonderful experience. So I took the risk of trying out. And in retrospect, it wasn't that great of a risk. But I guess in some way, shape, or form, I believed in myself and wanted to go for it. And the connection I made through St. Louis University soccer with an advertising agency principal got me my first job in the agency business. So that kind of came around full circle, not getting the Evans Scholarship, playing at SLU, having a connection that really jump-started my career.
I love it. And it is, and again, you have to imagine yourself in an 18-year-old's mind. Okay, one of the biggest challenges with talent is that you believe you have talent. And it's when you, and because of that, you end up not training as hard, don't take as many risks in many cases. And so actually having that reinforcement that says you're going to have to really work at this is very powerful. And what a great life lesson for you and for others around you. Steve Maurer and I played on the same Little League team. We played against each other. We played on the same team, and then eventually in high school played against each other again. So and he was a tremendous soccer player. Oh my gosh. And so let's talk about the future. Let's talk about your vision. Okay. Now you're pursuing this coaching on a full-time level. You're contacting people. You're going for certain things. What is that big, hairy, audacious goal that you're pursuing, and how are you going to achieve it?
I want to have my coaching schedule full for the upcoming year by the end of November and December. And I want to achieve that because that will allow me to create impact at scale and to touch and support and help to uplift as many people as possible. So that's what I want as my big, hairy, audacious goal. And the way I plan on achieving it is by getting up every day, putting my head down, and just working and grinding. I'm a big believer in setting a goal, detaching from the results so it doesn't become an area where you lose focus, and just I'm a daily grind kind of a person. So that is my plan and my goal and the way I want to execute against it.
Well, I have no doubt that that is going to get done because of the story that you told and the person that you are. And having now spent more time with you, again, having really 35 years between our contact, to have you come and and bring the energy that you bring already is very exciting. So I'm looking very forward to supporting that pursuit. And thanks for being on today. As we do with all our new coaches, we do podcasts with them. It's a great way for them to introduce. And I'm sure there's some people on this podcast that are going to say, boy, that's somebody I need to talk to. And so we're going to put your contact information in the show notes. But is there anything else you want to mention before we sign off?
Show up for yourself the way you show up for others.
Yeah, good one. And with that, we are adjourned. Great having you, Steve Hunsicker, and look so forward to being part of that vision for you in the future, for you and your clients. Thanks all for being on today.
Thank you, Phil.
Thanks for joining us for this edition of the Sea Captain Leadership Podcast. If you found the conversation valuable, please like, share, and post a review on your favorite podcast app. To learn more about Sea Captain and its high-performance coaching programs, visit us at seacaptaincoaching.com. The link is in the show notes. You can also follow us at Sea Captain Coaching on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Thanks again for listening. Wishing you fair winds and a following sea on your journey.